Hello, everyone. This is Gilgamesh. And today we're going to look at a very famous verse. We're going to look at the 23rd Psalm, verse 4. And it reads, Gam ki alech bagay salmavet lo ira ra ki ata imadi shivtecha umish anatecha hema yanachmuni. Which roughly translated is, also for I shall walk in the valley of shadow death, I shall not fear misfortune, for you are with me. Your staff, and another word for your staff, they comfort me. So let's take it piece by piece. We have here a simple particle, sort of a conjunction here. It means also, gam, very popular way to join ideas together. So also, and then here the word ki means for or because. Famously, this is translated as though in this verse, but really has more the sense of because. Then here we have halach. Halach is a first position hey verb, hey lamed kaf, and the hey will fall off on several of the forms here, particularly this first person imperfect form. So though I walk, and the aleph here gives it away that this is the first person form. It's first person singular. So also because I walk, and then we have our bet preposition here, in, and notice that it has a schwa under it, so there's no definiteness in this, but because this is a construct noun here, gay, meaning valley, it's a construct noun of what we believe is a proper noun here. That makes this also definite. So we would translate this as in the valley rather than in a valley, because it is a construct that is connected to a proper noun. So in the valley of Salmavet. Salmavet's a fun word. It's used a few times. It's not a really common word, but the folk etymology is that it's from sal, which can mean shadow. It also can mean image or likeness, but sal here probably means shadow. And then mavet, which means death. So shadow death, in the valley of shadow death. Now, of course, this comes across the valley of the shadow of death in the King James, and it's very poetic. But yes, this is one word here, salmavet. Now, notice here that this is, they put it as a popular folk etymology, meaning that the lexicon here isn't terribly convinced that's really what's going on here. And they give some references for that. They say it's an impenetrable gloom, pitch darkness, and there's some disputes back and forth, and then it gives you all the different places where it shows up. It is deeper than regular choshek. So this is something darker than just the word choshek, which means darkness. So this is a very deep darkness, and shadow death might be a good translation for what we're trying to get across thematically here. So yes, also because I walk in the valley of shadow death, lo, there's our typical negation, not. And then here we have another first person imperfect singular, and this is I will be afraid. So this is from yora, which is a very, very common verb, it means to fear. And so this is I will fear. And then we have here ra. Ra here is often translated as evil, and that's an okay translation. It doesn't generally mean evil in the sense of wickedness. It often means something more not beneficial, misfortune. Yeah, the cows were poor in appearance as an example of how it's used. This is not the same as the word for iniquity or pure wickedness, although sometimes it can mean that. It generally means just misfortune, badness, bad things happening, more so than wickedness happening. So I will fear no misfortune, ki, because, same word as we had up here, because ata, you, this is our independent pronoun here, imadi. Imad is a masculine singular here. It is only appears with the suffix, so this really, you always see it with the yod suffix on it here. So it means with me. And this one is an interesting one because the etymology on it is actually reminds me a little bit of Salmavet, where they broke it into two parts. they're suggesting here that it comes from im, which means with, and yadi, which means my hand. So with my hand, which would mean at my side, meaning with me. So yeah, this is saying for thou art at my hand or with me. So I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. And then notice we have the etnach here, which sort of divides our verse up. That was later put in by the Masoretes, but they certainly got it right here. We have sort of a comma or a pause here, and we start a new clause here. Shibtecha. This is a word that means staff. It also interestingly means tribe. This is one of two words that means both staff and tribe. The other one being mate, which is often used with it, but is not in this verse. But yeah, a shebet is a stick, a staff, a scepter, and then develops into the meaning of the scepter of authority, and therefore the one who holds the scepter, and eventually the concept of tribe. So this is saying your staff, and this could be a shepherd's staff, it could be a king's scepter. It's hard to say. This word is used very broadly to mean a lot of different things. And then we have another word for staff. This one's much less common. This is a support staff. It's mentioned as a support staff for the sick in Exodus 21:19, for the aged in Zechariah, used by rulers in Numbers. An angel uses it in Judges 6. So, and of course, here in this verse, it is parallel with Shevet. And that's all the places that it shows up is the ones listed here. So this is another word that means a support staff, a stick, a rod of some kind. This is common in Hebrew poetry to use synonyms like this, especially when they're in pretty much the same form here with having the same pronominal suffix on them. Your staff and your staff, hema. This is a pronoun here, an independent pronoun, third person masculine plural. And then yanachamuni comes from nacham. And so what's happening with this one, we would expect the normal spelling of this to have a vav after the mem. So yanachamu would be our verb, properly conjugated here as a third masculine plural. And then the ni on the end is a suffix, pronominal suffix here, indicating a first person direct object. Nacham is to give rest or comfort. They give rest or comfort. And then this is the direct object, what receives the rest or comfort, me. So they rest or comfort me would be a good translation of this. But what we have here is that this vav in the middle has not shown up. The Masoretes, in order to make it comply with grammar, gave this u vowel under the mem, which basically tells us that this is what's called a defective spelling. Did they get it right? It's impossible to say. It's also possible that this could have been intended to be a third masculine singular verb, which is what it's spelled as, and that there was never supposed to be a vav here, which would mean that we were using a singular verb for a compound subject. That sounds like grammatically that's not correct, but that does happen a lot in Hebrew. So the idea that this is supposed to be a third masculine plural verb may just be the Masoretes wanting the grammar to be consistent rather than actually being correct. Either way, translationally, it doesn't make really any difference. It's clear that the subject is the staff and the other word for staff here, and it's clear what they're doing. And so we can translate this as they comfort me. To translate it in the singular, he comforts me or it comforts me, might be that it's seeing these two things as the same object and we're just repeating the same word for poetic reasons here. And so the verb might be acknowledging that there really is only one staff. We're just calling it different things. But anyway, that's our verse, one of the most famous verses of the Hebrew Bible. And if you like this information, please like, subscribe, join us on Discord, and we'll see you in the next one.